Gonna have me some fun, gonna have me some fun.
From another galaxy, from a distant, dying world, they came to our own. The aliens, the Kikbaitians, are among us now, and more than anything else, they want to discuss our, entertainment.
Hey, Mark Park here, from the planet Kikbait, here with my long-lost friend Davian. How's it going, Davian?
Good, Mark Park. Glad to be here.
Excellent, excellent. How's New Mexico treating you?
It's quiet and dusty and cold.
I envy you right now. Nothing but rainstorms over here. Rainstorms and lockdowns. I wanted to see the new Wonder Woman 1984 and wasn't allowed to because of the new lockdowns. You know, I like to sneak around and sneak into theaters and in dark and stormy nights.
Yeah. Well, that's not even an option down here. Our theaters have been totally shut down since March.
Ah, bummer. Well, so let's talk Wonder Woman 1984.
Barbara, what did you do?
What'd you think, man? What'd you think?
What a complete mess of a movie. Not to totally disparage it, there's a lot of things I really enjoyed about it. A lot of aspects
Definitely.
I like, but I feel like it was a movie where they had 3 different competing cuts that they couldn't decide between, and so they just kind of randomly slapped the reels together from each version.
So the Rise of Skywalker.
A lot like that, yeah.
Would you call it a beautiful disaster? Would we go that far?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah, look great for the most part. There's some bits that are flat, but I think that fit with the 80s aesthetic.
Yeah. I see people railing about the CGI, but I actually found it pretty okay, aside from one part. Maybe you notice this too. Maybe the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Jeep's on the dirt road, and she gets off and starts running in slow-mo, and that looked a little dodgy to me. But apart from that, pretty okay.
Yeah, there's probably a couple shots I could pick apart if I wanted to, but it was nothing that bothered me. Yeah, the effects were fine. But just so much about the structure was weird and the pacing, like I don't know. I think there was a lot of problems with it that I could forgive individually, but altogether they really bogged the whole thing down.
Yeah, I think it tends to come down to it kind of being a Frankenstein of different edits and cuts and maybe studio interference that we're not going to hear about. Maybe ever, or maybe in a couple of years. But
who knows?
Definitely some things there at the end that probably were changed, either for, I don't know, focus group feedback or studio notes or I don't know what, but definitely some things there. Yeah.
You can tell there's just too many things that don't add up, and there's setups without payoffs, there's payoffs without setups. So
yeah. Or maybe there were setups and now they're gone. We don't know.
Right. Just with what we've got in the final film, they just don't quite click. That's the one I was talking about this with somebody earlier, but the one that really bugged me as far as the setups and payoffs is the whole thing with the gold armor.
Yeah.
You know, you had 2 setups for why she would need it. She had lost her power and we can talk about that, but she had been at least partially depowered. She was getting scratched now. She still seemed to be pretty strong, but she was partially depowered. So the armor could have come in handy there. And then she talked about how she couldn't fly. I mean, she literally talked about it. And they got this magic suit.
Even though we saw that in the first movie.
But it just seemed like those were both reasons they could have had for her to need the armor.
Yeah.
And then they resolved both of them 30 seconds before she puts, or maybe not exactly 30 seconds, but resolved both of those plot points right before the scene where she puts it on for no reason. I mean, it doesn't seem to help her. I mean, she didn't need it fighting the extra army guys. She could have taken them out regardless. And it seemed to just impede her with Cheetah. Once she got it off is when, or at least the wings off is when she was able to just do her thing and win.
What got me was like they spent a good, I don't know, maybe about a minute, a little bit less, like building up the armor. Like, and we later on learned that it's Linda Carter's character in the armor. They spend this time building it up, like, look how cool and great this armor is, and literally within about the next minute or so, like, Cheetah completely like destroys it and dismantles it with her claws. Like, I guess it wasn't that great. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. It feels like something left over from a plot thread that got cut out or cut way down. And so whatever story logic backed it originally is no longer there. So now it's just a new outfit to put on.
I've seen it may be literally as simple as just like the toy people being like, hey, throw us a bone here, Patty. Like we only have like 2 Wonder Woman uniforms for like the whole DCEU so far. Like give us something. And
I can totally see that as a
Kingdom Come, and it's
start
cool
point.
now, but they didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I can see that being where it started off, but I mean, it looks like they thought, it looks like they had at one point put more thought into it, and then took out the connective tissue.
And you still get a movie that's 2 hours and 30 minutes long.
Yeah,
amazing.
But there's so much that could go. I mean, you've got the whole issue with how Trevor comes back. That could have been cut way down. You could have gotten rid of the whole body takeover element could have been dropped. You could have lost the changing
unnecessary
clothes stuff. Some of it was fun. I like the two of them together, and so I see why they keep it. But it got a smaller dose would have, I think, worked fine, because it made him look stupid at some points. I thought, because he doesn't understand what fireworks are. Those existed in his time.
This isn't something new. Yeah, totally.
Jets did not.
That?
I mean, he's a pilot, but jets had not. The first jet had not been invented when he died.
Well, these are about the same buttons over here. I guess. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's right. I don't. I'm assuming no, but.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, logic leaps like that I can take here and there, but they start to pile up after a while.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, visually it was fantastic. I thought the choreography was pretty great. I mean, I see some people harping on it. I thought it was fine for what it was. I mean, they weren't trying to do like the big swords and shields kind of stuff like the first movie, so it's not quite the same thing. I read that they booted off the whole Zack Snyder crew, like all those guys with the trainers and this and that, for whatever reason. But again, not really needed in this movie. And it's kind of a tragedy in the sense that, Gal Gadot is wonderful. I thought she carried the movie, and I think a lot of people would agree that she's kind of been carrying the DCEU, such as it is or is not, for quite a while now. And and this kind of throws a wrench into that one last thing we've taken for granted, which is like, no matter how bad the DCU gets, like Wonder Woman will probably be okay. Like those, like now, like maybe not. We'll see. I guess. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think there's that much weight on the character, but I think I don't totally disagree. But I think that's part of the negative backlash it's gotten. Because I definitely think the movie has plenty of problems, but I don't think it's necessarily as bad as some people say. But I think there's that element of, oh shit, she was the one that was supposed to have it holding together. And on top of that, you have beyond the DC stuff, everybody that's been stuck at home, hasn't gotten a movie like this in a year.
Yeah.
Everybody really needed this movie to be awesome, and it wasn't.
I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to the IMAX stuff and all that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I missed out on that, but like maybe not the saddest thing ever that I didn't get to see. I don't know.
Yep. To jump back, I think that her being depowered, I think that's something that was added in. I'm thinking the original, and this is just speculation.
I think so too.
But yeah, I think originally the price was that they had to be claiming this guy's life, and that made it a little bit icky. Because, I don't know, to me, I never took it that she was entirely bulletproof. Like, that's how they show that she's lost her powers, is that a direct hit gives her a scratch. I never thought she was that invulnerable. Otherwise, what's the point of blocking? And
I've always took it like, at least in the comics, like, one Superman, like, yeah, he can stop a bullet, no problem. It doesn't even hurt him. But like Aquaman, a bullet will bounce off him, but maybe there's like a bit of blood, and some bruising. Wonder Woman, like if Superman is iron, then she's like kind of bronze or copper, but she still gets hurt, but doesn't want to.
I mean, I don't know the comics as well in regards to Wonder Woman, so I'm just basing off what we've seen in the movies of her so far. But you know, it strips away the drama of like the no man's land scene of her, you know, going behind that shield and taking that cool stance and creeping forward and then blocking the shots as she goes. If she could have just walked out there and they would have all bounced off her like Superman.
True. Wouldn't have had quite the same effect for sure.
But it is an easy way to convey her powers fading in post without really, you know, because I think I'd have to go back and check, but I think somebody mentioned, I heard that most of the lines dealing with her losing her powers are said like off screen. You know, you're looking at Chris Pine when she says it, that kind of thing. Yeah. And you know, those scratches and bruises could just be added in CG real easily. Yeah. So that's, so that part rang false and hurts the character a little bit to me. But then, you know, having them be like, let's destroy this guy's life. I wonder
if there was a guy in the original version. I mean, maybe there's always been, and they've kind of like paddled down the damage as things go along, but I don't know. Like,
who knows what else was there.
What do you think about Max Lord?
I thought he was interesting as a villain, but I think, I don't know, it's weird to have a movie where like none of the villains have any real malice.
Yeah, there's nobody to hate, really.
Yeah, even you go back to the opening scene with the robbers at the mall.
They're not that bad.
The one dude holds the kid over the rail, and the others are like, "Whoa!"
True.
Going too far, man. So you know, it was. I think that's an interesting take. You know, you don't see that much, so I appreciate that.
I mean, people bring up like the comparison to like the Donnerverse and like Superman 3 and 4 and all that stuff, and you know, those movies, and you know, even those like had some people like, okay, like I don't even care that much for the movies themselves, but like even in 3, like, you know, you tend to like at least strongly dislike the villains. Like in this one, in Wonder Woman 84, it's like like I'm not rooting against Wonder Woman by any means, but I'm not really hoping. I have no real horse in the race, so to speak. Like what's knock it off, Max Lord. Like
everything was so fantastical that it was harder to buy into the stakes. He said there's no one to hate, and I see your point. I think that was probably intentional on their part. You know, they maybe to, you know, Wonder Woman isn't about
to root against.
You know, you could get all kind of squishy about it, but I think that's probably a very deliberate choice on their part. But yeah, I don't think I think if that's the way you're going to go, you need more believable stakes, because it was just everything's poofing in and out.
Yeah, totally. And for Max Lord, without getting too much into the comics, like, you know, if they want to do Max Lord, I wish they would have just done Max Lord, or like picked another villain, because, you know, there's the whole Infinite Crisis Max Lord, you know, and maybe he's more of a Justice League International villain or a Batman villain, but, you know, more often than not, he's this cunning guy who can, you know, control anyone's mind and pretty much does so with impunity. You know, it's not some kind of a manifestation of a monkey's paw. Like this is a new thing, but whatever. And certainly not this like whiny Trump caricature. Without getting into all that, but
I honestly am not too familiar with Max Lord. My only real familiarity with him is, you know, I've probably seen him in the cartoons years ago, but I don't remember. So the most recent representation of him for me was on Supergirl, and he was basically the same thing. So that wasn't a big leap for me, though I understand it's pretty far from the comics version.
Just a bit of trivia, but I know he was like Jay Baruchel came about a sliver away from playing Max Lord in the Justice League Immortal movie from George Miller. Almost got that.
Yep, I do remember that. Yeah, that would have been a weird movie. I was just watching something on YouTube on that earlier today.
On a number of levels there, from the costuming to the cast and what they were trying to do there.
Have you ever read the script?
I have not read the script.
It's online. You can find it.
How is the script?
I read it years ago.
Would you say it's better than the Ultimate Justice movie that we got? Potentially.
I don't know.
On a script level.
Say something controversial. I didn't hate the Justice League movie we've got as it stands, but it's been a long time since I've read the Mortal version, so it's weird to say, but it was kind of very tonally goofy in a lot of ways too. Tried to cram a lot in the Flash. I think it was Barry, but it was still kind of a Wally-esque version of Barry that they were going with. He was the central character and died in the end. But the story also revolved kind of around the Tower of Babel, where Batman's got a plot to take down every member.
The Grant Morrison story.
With Talia and Max Lord getting a hold of those plans. And they were trying to make it the same. They wanted to make it the Talia that was related to Liam Neeson before Dark Knight Rises. And that was what pissed Nolan off.
Good times. So back to the tone and whatnot of Wonder Woman 84. Obviously, the body count appears to be 0. Like, what do you make about that?
You know, I
not that it's like body count equals like yay, but like it's just unusual. Like, to be sure.
It is, and again, I think that's a deliberate choice, and I found that interesting. It wasn't something that really clicked for me until afterwards, and I was thinking back, and I'm like, wait, I don't think. You know, you could probably say that maybe somebody could have gotten killed when some of those trucks that she was flipping, but you could also find ways to say they survived. So I think that's
I mean, it's not quite like Man of Steel where it's like, but they had an evacuation in Metropolis. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure thousands of people still died.
yeah. Or Batman v Superman is like, oh, it's after dark. Nobody's here. This whole part of the city is evacuated. Yeah. So yeah, some of it was cheesy, but let me backtrack. All of it was really cheesy. So I think that in that context, it worked, and I thought it was kind of a fun way for them to. I thought it was neat watching her find ways to deal with, the bad guys without killing anybody.
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely by design. As is the cheese. I think that was kind of what they were going for. But
the whole movie has very much like fairy tale logic, and I think it works in that context.
How much do you think is due to my nemesis, Jeff Johns?
I really don't know. He and Jenkins are the only credited writers on this one, and she didn't write the first one.
Nope.
So, I have a feeling a lot of the comic book elements come from him, the gold armor and stuff like that. Even though I don't think there's anything of Max Lord, the comic version, in this character, I think they probably kind of came up with, she had a character in mind, and he went, well, we could call him this.
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe he had some early ideas about what Max Lord would be, and it's like, that's nice, Jeff, but here's what we're doing, actually. Oh, okay. And slowly it got pared down from there.
Yeah. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with Johns' work on an individual basis, especially his comic stuff. So who knows?
Well, I can sum it up really quickly. He destroyed Green Lantern, but I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I definitely know you've got feelings there.
Yeah, the whole Spaceship Ride from Kikbait has been just me stewing in my pod, just like it's driving me crazy, man. Driving me crazy. So last thoughts, man. Do you like Wonder Woman 84? Would you recommend it? Would you ever want to see it again? Or
I will probably watch it again one of these days. I'm not in a rush though. I probably would recommend it, but with reservations. It has a lot of stuff that I really enjoyed, but it doesn't all hold together. That's kind of my summation.
That's fair. Like I said, I certainly don't hate the movie. If anything, I hate what it could have been, not what it is. What it is fine. I mean, it's not what I wanted. It's not what we needed, but it's fine. It's perfectly serviceable for what it is. I mean, again, it's kind of a tragedy. It strikes me as tragic that Wonder Woman and Gal Gadot, in a big sense, has been carrying the DCU, and if not the DCU, then certainly the serious side, at least in critical terms, like the serious side of the DC WB movies, and now that's kind of like in question, in the same way that maybe Harley Quinn was like, she's going to carry them financially, perhaps, like, and now maybe even that's in question too. So it's somewhat tragic in that way, but I liked it enough. I didn't regret seeing it or anything. I mean,
do they have anything else in that's shot at this point or ready? Oh, Batman.
Yeah, the Batman for sure. That's like almost done or done by now, and
yeah, they'd be pretty close.
I think the Trench, the Aquaman spinoff, got somewhere, or maybe didn't.
I don't even know. Maybe a script, but
maybe. Certainly not Cyborg or.
No.
They seemed pretty serious about Joker 2 for a while. Oh, the Flash. The Flash seems to be actually happening this time.
Yeah, the Flash. All the stuff from the
they're actually
DC
they're actually casting people, so that's probably pretty far.
And Shazam 2 seems like it'll probably be ready to go once the lockdowns lift up a bit.
And The Rock's pretty serious about Black Adam, so that seems pretty much like a sure thing.
So, yeah, there's a few, but there's going to be a big gap there.
And there's still the Suicide Squad, of course.
True, that's true. I
can.
totally forgot about that. So that's still a pretty big thing coming, and the whatever. What's the show spinning off of it? The Cena character?
Oh, I can't think of the character's name now. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like it's going to be a prequel on HBO Max. Yeah, I heard about that. And apparently some HBO Max prequels or spin-offs of the Batman or something like that.
Well, they were doing one that was like a police procedural set in Gotham at the same time, but the guy that was developing it, the showrunner, quit.
Yeah.
So I don't know where that stands.
Jump ship.
I don't want another Gotham.
No.
Yeah. I kind of enjoyed it for what it was, but it's done.
All right, man. Well, in closing, I think we both watched a bit of Mandalorian and perhaps some Cobra Kai. Should we touch on those before we go back to New Mexico and Seattle, respectively?
Sure.
Mandalorian?
Wherever I go, he goes. So I've heard.
Season 2 and in general?
Just, it's a hell of a lot of fun. It's not the deepest thing out there. I enjoy it, but I always tend to find myself wishing it was just a little bit more.
Sure. No.
Yeah.
I've heard it compared to a video game where it's like, here's these quests and he gets an item and now it's... I think the latest season kind of did a good job of bringing that together a bit, at least in terms of now here's the big payoff or the beginning of the payoff. Remember all those quests he did? Now here's the big, everyone coming together and perhaps the payoff.
Well, they basically did that last season too.
Yeah.
Bringing back, they had to bring back Kara and IG-11 and Carl Weathers and kind of brought that group back together for the last one. So they played that note both times.
The Gus thing and the Darksaber, now we get a bit more of that.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy it. I don't, have any complaints per se, other than I think that, there's often a lot of very weak or lazy writing that I think they just stamp the fan service on top of and it works for the most part.
Yeah.
But the one that drove me nuts was
the spiders.
No, I didn't mind that. It was the Boba
okay.
Fett, the tragedy when Grogu gets kidnapped and Boba Fett shows up.
You didn't like it?
No, I liked it fine, but I thought I just thought it was some of the writing was weak. The action was all cool, but the thing that bugged me specifically was you got that beat with Mando trying to get Grogu out of that field off the rock. And it's he tries it knocks him back. He tries it again. It knocks him back and knocks him out for half the fight. He wakes up.
Yeah.
He tries it again. It knocks it. And there's, why not? He's got the grapple hook on his arm. Try to swipe him off with that. The power. It seemed like those pillars were powering it. Maybe shoot one of them down. Try something.
Some logic issues for sure. And I think there was also some. Why didn't he put on the jetpack again? Kind of a thing later on.
Oh yeah, Well, in that the standoff. It's like, all right, I'll put my gun down if you put your gun down. It's like, all right, I'll put my gun down if you put your jetpack down. Even though it hasn't factored in whatsoever up to this point, but it's going to be really important in 90 seconds, and you don't know it.
Yeah. Need to remove this from the playing field post haste.
Yeah. So yeah, it feels like they just shot the first draft of every script.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even the stuff, I'm assuming we're not worrying about spoilers here. This stuff with Luke showing up at the end, as awesome as that scene was, he could have just, Mando Din never gets Luke's name. He doesn't have any idea who this dude is.
He didn't ask enough questions for sure.
Yeah, and Luke, you'd think he would have walked in. I'm Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master, something. I mean, he introduces himself to Jabba. He wouldn't introduce himself to this guy.
I mean, and I know you and I like Highlander, so I feel like Jedi have the same thing, like the buzz. Like they can feel like this guy's a Jedi.
Yeah.
Mandalorian doesn't have that. Like, how's he gonna know Luke?
Right? Yeah. And, it's not like Grogu's telling him, this guy's cool. And as a matter of fact, that was kind of the reverse. He didn't want to go with him initially.
He's looking to the Mandalorian like, should I go with this guy? I don't know. You tell me, man.
Yep. Yeah. So, just lots and lots of really cool moments kind of stuck onto a quickly slapped together script.
I think so. I think that's accurate. I mean, I thought it came together a bit better, or at least more satisfying than season 1 for me. Like, it's more polished, more like maybe they have a bit more money this time around. But I literally got everything I wanted to see. Like, Luke, and everyone was like, I want it to be Luke that comes, but it's not going to be. It's going to be the guy from Rebels or this or that, and it's Luke. Hey, cool. Like Boba Fett. Hey, he's back in canon now. Wow. Luke and Boba Fett both kicking ass, like, and fucking Grand Admiral Thrawn, like, oh my god. But apparently that's being reserved for the Ahsoka series, but still, like, Grand Admiral Thrawn, like, Jesus Christ, I loved those novels, like, eons ago. I think we'd all given up hope that we'd ever see, like, if not those novels brought to life, then Grand Admiral Thrawn, at least in live action, like, oh my god. But I wonder, though, I'm concerned, like, am I just enjoying this because it's, like, ticking all my fanboy bullet points, or is it really, really good? I think it's somewhere in between, and I think that's okay. But
I think they're kind of they're ticking upwards. They realize that too, that there's only so long that stuff can carry them.
Yeah, and only so many things.
Right. So I think they're going to be doing more of their own stuff as they go, and even though a lot of it'll revolve around Thrawn and familiar characters, it'll still be. The time frame difference, so much of the EU stuff with Thrawn is, completely irrelevant at this point. There's a lot new you can do with that.
They can salvage it, but I kind of think they shouldn't in a large degree. Like, and number 2, they can't in some other ways.
Yeah. You can't do the Luke clone and all that stuff, obviously. Well, I suppose you could. I hope they don't.
There's no need. No. Luke
Skywalker.
The two U's, yes.
Yeah. Don't need that, but
no.
And I'm assuming, you said being safe for Ahsoka, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's where they reveal him. But I have a feeling he'll be the overall big bad for the rest of Mandalorian, and probably factor into Boba Fett at least a bit, and then Ahsoka and whatever that Rangers of the New Republic ends up being.
Right.
I bet he's going to be involved with all that.
Well, I hope they make him the power player. And then I don't want to say a trilogy, but like they do some kind of big Grand Admiral Thrawn thing, whether it's like a miniseries probably or something else. I mean, definitely an adaptation of the 3 novels wouldn't really be that cool on screen in terms of a movie trilogy, because it's if you think about it, they're expertly written and amazing novels, but still it's not ultimately all that much new. It's really just, a super smart, super cunning Grand Admiral, a lot of cat and mouse with the rebels, and like lots of TIE fighters and stormtroopers. Like,
have you watched the Rebels animated show?
The first couple episodes. I have not gotten too far.
Well, because Thrawn's the main villain in the last couple seasons of that.
Worries. Yeah.
And so they've already got a trajectory for him. He's off in the unknown territories, regions, whatever they're called. So I mean, they're definitely building to something along those lines that doesn't really seem compatible with a lot of what was done in those original, at least I guess any of the stuff specific to the main characters. Yeah, he'll be rebuilding his chunk of the Empire, I'm sure.
Well, that's kind of how the novels began, was him coming back from the unknown regions. Like, everyone had already written him off, and the reasons why he went there obviously are very different.
But yeah, I'm positive that's where it's going. Even like Giancarlo Esposito did some interview, and he was talking about how Gideon's not the one in charge, and he's working for some other figure that has, is this master planner, and it's like, well, obviously that's gone.
Well, I like with the sequel trilogy, after coming off of that, it was like, oh my god. I mean, obviously the big complaints aside of the sequel trilogy, like, God, I'm so bored with TIE fighters, stormtroopers, and ships chasing each other down like these teeny tiny tunnels, like spinning around, and get the turret going, like it's so boring. It's so boring, but we still get some of that in Mandalorian, but I didn't mind. Like, it was, I don't know what it is. It works.
Yep.
All right, man. Cobra Kai.
I thought we were the good guys.
We try to be. There's one thing I do know for sure. You can't run away from your problems.
What say you?
I love it. I just finished the third season yesterday.
Nice. I've got 3 left myself.
I tend to binge it so fast that it doesn't stick well, and I'll have to go back and watch it again later. But I really
that's
enjoy, especially this season, kind of expanded on the continued cycles of just generation after generation fucking up the next one.
Yeah, like here's another generation. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that they're adding layers to Kreese without making him sympathetic at all. He's still a bastard. You just see why he's a bastard.
Here's why. Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I really enjoy it. It's kind of an interesting contrast to the Mandalorian in using those nostalgic triggers for their storyline. But I think they're going a lot deeper and trying different things with Cobra Kai. Of course, they have luxury of having the main characters that you couldn't for Mandalorian full time. But
Mandalorian certainly does not. Yeah, for sure. People have been saying Cobra Kai, like, oh man, it's like the best show that I had no idea I ever wanted. But I kind of knew I wanted it, but maybe not in this form. But it definitely works. We've all watched the YouTube stuff about Daniel LaRusso was the bully, and they kind of went with that and ran with it. Not what I would have liked them to do, but they sold me. It works.
Yeah, they've taken a nuanced enough approach, I think.
Yeah,
they're just showing both perspectives, and yeah, I for me, like as far as Greatest Show or Never Knew I like the Karate Kid movies, especially the first 2. I never cared for 3. I didn't never see the next Karate Kid, and I never saw the remake, the Kung Fu Kid. But
should have been.
Yeah, I liked the movies well enough. When I heard they were doing Cobra Kai, I thought it sounded like a stupid idea. But I expected it to be more of a sitcom-y type of thing, I guess.
I was scared. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, I think it's very silly. It's almost kind of like Wonder Woman in that it takes place in just this alternate reality where people give a shit about karate tournaments and back injuries can be healed in a couple of months, paralyzing back injuries.
Walk it off.
It might be, maybe it is set in the DC universe because that worked for Batman.
Yeah, just get some rope and you're good to go.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just, shake out that spine a little bit. You're good.
Yeah. Like when I was a kid on Kikbait, I'd see that stuff on cable. I'd see Karate Kid 1 and 3 particularly were always on HBO, Cinemax, Showtime. Not so much 2, but I'd still see 2. They'd always be on. It'd always be on my mind. Years later, I didn't consider myself a Karate Kid fanboy. I like the movies, obviously. I'd seen them many times. It's just on. There's nothing else on TV back then.
Yeah.
Except the propaganda from the planetary stuff. But this show kind of made me a Karate Kid fanboy. At this point, I see where they're kind of going with things Terry Silver and this and that, and I want it all. Terry Silver, Mike Barnes. Let's bring in Michael Ironside from the next Karate Kid. Hilary Swank too. She can come back. Miyagi Do. I haven't even seen the remake, the Kung Fu Kid that should have been called the Kung Fu Kid. Why not bring in Will Smith's kid and Jackie Chan?
Will is one of the producers.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
They've said the plan is for 6 seasons, so why not?
Wow. I kind of figured 4 would be it, but, because it felt like you're not, I don't want to get spoilery, but it feels like it's building to an end by the end of this season. But,
okay.
But, who knows? I could see it going on, but it feels like they're starting to build to an end game.
It definitely can't go on forever. I mean, they run out of what I've seen so far, and what they could possibly do in the next season or maybe the next 2 seasons. The list of holy shit, oh my god, they did kind of moments. There's a finite amount, and they've used 75% of them already.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's still, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to more. I hope it's not too long
Absolutely.
of a wait, but I'm assuming it's going to be at least a year.
I know. I just read that they start filming again on season 4 in about 3 weeks, so probably in about a year.
Yep. Oh, well.
All right, man. I think we've covered all the bases here, man. It's good talking to you. I hope life in hiding in New Mexico is treating you okay.
And you as well up there in the rainy Northwest.
That's all I can do to stay dry, man. All right, till next time, when we talk about, what do you think? Should we do Star Trek?